Hello, welcome to the lecture. In this lecture, we are going to look at the second lecture, that is of business statistics and research methods. Under this, we are going to study subject matter of statistics and we are going to look into the descriptive versus the inferential statistics. So, let us begin today's lecture. Now, yes, what is descriptive statistics? Right, what do we really mean by the term descriptive statistic? This is a branch of statistics that help us to summarize the data. Firstly, it helps collection of the data, presentation as well as analysis. So it helps to summarize, organize and then interpret the data in a very useful, in a very meaningful manners, in a very understandable manner by a layman. It gives us a clear picture of the data by using numbers and visuals like various charts, bar charts, pie diagrams. Right? Through this, the data can be presented in a visually appealing manner. The methods under this are central tendency, that is the mean, median, and mode. Then it even includes measures of dispersion. Right, measures of dispersion, this means these indicate that how spread out the data is from the middle terms. What is the range, what is the variance, what is the standard deviations, and it even includes measures of correlation, covariance. An example of descriptive statistics is when we estimate the average height of the students in a particular school. So descriptive statistics will tell us that what is the average height. By looking at the population, we can say that what will be the descriptive height of the students, what will be the average height of the students. Right, that is descriptive statistics, just describing the main data in various graphs and figures form. Then analysis of the data will be done. Finally, presentation of the data through bar graphs, through histogram, through pie charts will be done. So descriptive statistic is just like a summary of a movie. It gives us the main idea without watching the whole movie stuff. We don't need to watch the whole movie. Just by looking at the trailer part, we are going to analyze that what will be the movie will be of about. It helps us to understand large amount of data in a very quick and in a very short manner, clear manner. This is descriptive statistics. Moving to the next, we have inferential statistics. Drawing inferences, conclusions. It refers to all such methods by which conclusions, inferences can be drawn related to a particular population on the basis of the data or sample which is being drawn. So here this is the population, and from the population what will be the sample will be derived, what conclusions can be drawn regarding that population, that is known as inferential statistics. For example, if there is a class teacher and they estimate that what will be the average height of the entire class on the basis of the average height of the students of some of the samples which has been taken out, which is been derived from that class. So by looking at the population, by looking at the class, what will be the average height of few people of the class can be derived, that is inferential statistics. Right, now let us look at the third slide and let us look at the comparison between the descriptive statistics and the inferential statistics. Firstly, descriptive statistics helps to describe and summarize the data in a tabulated manner, whereas inferential statistics make inferences or conclusions about the population based upon the sample which is being drawn from that population. Right, next is the purpose of descriptive statistic is to just describe the situation as it is. What is the population of a particular city? in a particular year. Just describing out that situation, just stating the facts is known as descriptive statistics. On the other hand, the main purpose of the inferential statistics is to explain the likelihood or occurrence of the event. What is the reason behind which the population of a city has grown, or what is the reason behind that the population of a particular city has come down. That purpose is being told by the inferential statistics. Next is like in suppose during the COVID situation, the death rate in certain areas were very high. So that is the inferential statistics. If we are going to drive the statistics of that particular period, then we will get the conclusion that during those period, due to the COVID, because of uncertain death of the individuals, of the human beings, there were decrease in the population at that particular period of time. So inferential statistics, by looking at the inferential statistics, that is going to be possible. Next is function. Descriptive statistics helps in organizing, analyzing and presenting the data in a very structured, in a very useful and understandable manner, whereas inferential statistics deals with comparing the data, then testing that data. So suppose there is a population of say 100 people, right? Then testing upon all these 100 people won't be done. A sample will be taken out of, suppose sample we say there is 10 individuals. So after that, the hypothesis testing upon those 10 people will be done, an estimate, an assumption will be derived, and finally the results is going to be predicted based upon those 10 samples which is being derived, right? This is the function. Now let us look at the next slide. So now what is the conclusion? So descriptive statistics quantifies the known data, that is, it summarizes the characteristics of that data which is already been known, right? It just summarizes the data in the form of chart or pie diagrams, whereas in inferential statistics we get to learn about the population. It explains beyond the data that is being available. Like in the COVID cases, there is not just the known, we don't only get to know that there is decrease in the population, what is the reason behind that decrease in the population, we even get to know that comes under the inferential statistics. Next, we have variables which are taken into consideration. So descriptive statistics measures only the provided data, and it is not going to consider any sort of variables. It is not going to consider any sort of sampling errors that might have been occurred while collection of the data, right? If a interviewer is going to another person for getting out the samples, for filling up the questionnaire, so if at that particular point of the time, if there is any sort of sampling errors, that will not be taken into consideration under descriptive statistics. So it is of an objective nature, whereas in inferential statistics it is going to consider the sampling errors while the hypothesis is made, certain types of test is being done upon the sample, right? Upon the sample, certain types of test is being done, hypothesis is being created, null and alternate hypothesis is being created. So at that time, certain sampling errors might occur, that is even being taken into consideration. So it is a sort of a descriptive in nature, right? Then the third point is result or output from. So descriptive statistics gives the result or output in the form of table, charts, or in the form of graphs, whereas in the inferential statistics it generally give out the possibilities or probabilities that this could have happened if that was the result. If 100 people is being affected due to COVID, due to coronavirus. That is the reason that the population has been reduced. So that generates possibilities that could have happened. Right. Now, let us look at the next slide. This tells us about the parameters or sample statistics. Now, let us look this in detail. Descriptive statistics are applied on the entire population. The properties of the population are known as the parameters. So, certain feature of the population is going to be inculcated in the smaller area or smaller sample, that is going to be known as parameters. Right, we are also going to learn this, like population, a small feature of population is being known as, a small properties of the population is being known as parameters. So first word is P, first letter is P. Then inferential statistics is applied on the subset of that population. A smaller set of that population is known as the sample. Right, small population of that subset is known as the sample. And that property of the sample, is being contained in a smaller part, that is going to be known as statistic. Right, so sample, the first letter is sample and the first letter is statistics. An example of this would be, suppose we want to know that the average height of all the students in a university, which the students are studying in a university, we need to know the average height of the students over there. So if we are going to measure the height of every student in the university, that is going to be the average height, and that is going to be known as the parameter, because it is going to represent the entire population. Right? But if we are only going to measure the height of 100 randomly selected students, right, we are going to select only 100 random samples randomly, then the average height is going to be called as the statistics, because it is based upon the sample that is being drawn from the population. Right, this is parameter or sample statistics. Now let us look at the types of statistics. What are the main types of statistics? So the very first is measures of central tendency. We all know that this describes the average or the central value of the data, that is the mean, median and mode. Next is measures of variability. This shows us that how much there is variance or how much the data is being spread or dispersed. Under this we have range, standard deviation, variance. All these are going to be discussed in the further lectures. An elaborated version of all this is going to be covered in the further lectures. Now next is measures of distribution. This represents the pattern or the shape of data. Like there might be positively skewed, or this measures the possibility of skewness, that will be positively skewed or negatively skewed. Right. Then we have 5-point summary. This includes the minimum, the first quartile, Q1, Q2, Q3, and it then summarizes the data. Finally, we have measures of association. This indicates the relationship between the two variables, that is correlation or covariance. Then under the inferential statistics we have hypothesis test, like various types of test, t-test, chi-square test, ANOVA test, then confidence intervals, then regression analysis. Now let us look at the next comparison, that is measures. The measures or techniques used in descriptive statistics is mean, median, mode, variance, standard deviation, frequency distribution. Under the inferential statistics, we have various type of test and linear regression. An example of this would be descriptive statistics is calculating the average marks of the students of a class. We are just calculating the marks of the students of the class. Under the inferential statistics, we have predicting the average marks of students in the class based upon the sample that has been drawn from the population, that is the class. Right? This is the major difference between descriptive versus inferential statistic, and that has been covered in detail. Now let us solve a problem of this. Now let us see what the question states. Which of the following statement best differentiates between descriptive and inferential statistics? So which is the best differentiation? First is descriptive statistics summarizes the data. Yes, it is true. First there is collection of data, then presentation, interpretation, analysis. All this is being done. So this is true. And inferential statistics make predictions based upon the data. This is even true. Assumptions are being created, hypothesis is being created, and then if the hypothesis is true, then our whole statement, our whole prediction will become true. So inferential statistics make predictions based on the data. So this answer is true. Now, whether this differentiation is best or not, we are going to look further. So let us look or judge the option B. Descriptive statistics are used only in qualitative research. Now, descriptive statistics, we can't say that descriptive statistics is only used in qualitative research, because it is used in both qualitative as well as quantitative research. They help to summarize and present the data in a very meaningful manner, regardless of the data type. Like, descriptive statistics can be used to summarize responses from a qualitative survey, like how many people is going to like the product, what is the likability of the product, whether they are liking the product or not. So that is of a qualitative nature, and it even takes into account the quantitative aspect, like it measures the average income levels, it measures the average number of students which are passing a particular sort of exams. So it is based upon the qualitative plus the quantitative data. So first part of this is absolutely wrong. Now the second part says that inferential statistics are used in quantitative research. Now this is true because it relies on numerical data first. Numerical data is being analyzed, then hypothesis testing upon those data are done, and finally inferences are being drawn and judged. So second part is right, but first part is wrong. So option number B is wrong. Now the third option is that descriptive statistics involve hypothesis testing. Right, descriptive statistics. No. Now, descriptive statistic does not involve hypothesis testing. Now, what is hypothesis testing? It is a major component of inferential statistics. It does not part of form. It is not a part of descriptive statistics. In hypothesis testing, a sample of data is being used to test an assumption or to claim something about a particular population. For example, there will be a testing if the average income in a city is more than the national average is an inferential process. It is not a descriptive process. We are not describing a particular situation. We are judging whether the average income in a city is more than the national average. So descriptive statistics on one hand only describe the data, and it is not going to make any sort of conclusions regarding the data. If the conclusions have to be drawn, then in that case hypothesis testing have to be used. So option number D is wrong. Option number C is wrong. Now we are going to look option number D. Descriptive statistics are used for larger sort of populations, whereas inferential statistics are used for smaller samples. Now, this statement is even wrong. Descriptive statistics can be used for the larger population as well as for the smaller population. Its simple task is to just simplify to summarize the data that is being available regardless of any sort of size. So, inferential statistics are used to make predictions or generalizations about the larger population based upon the sample that is being drawn. Right? So, descriptive statistics can be used for the larger population as well as for the smaller population. Now, this part is wrong. Inferential statistics are used for small samples. Right? A population is being collected, then from the population a sample is being drawn, and then from this sample the inferences are being drawn. So this part is right, but the first part is wrong. So we are going to get the answer as answer number option number A is right. Descriptive statistics summarizes the data, whereas the inferential statistics makes predictions based upon the data. Right? So this was all about today's lecture. I hope you like this lecture. If you are having any sort of queries, you can comment down. I would love to answer that, and you can subscribe and hit the like button if you are liking my lectures. Right? So let us meet in the next lecture as soon as possible. Take care and bye bye.